back because a lot of you had questions about the battery box I use. In my other videos, I recommend you just using that Minn Kota or Newport Vessels battery box. It's very nice, $60, $70. But I saw a commenter leave a comment saying that it's that price, but another $35 for shipping. So this, in that case, would be a cheaper alternative. So here's what this battery box has. I made this one just for this video. It has the switch on-off, which controls everything from the USB chargers and the voltmeter to the post back here. So on that, here's how I hook up my motor to this battery box. These brass posts here, they're $30, pretty spendy, but it's handy for me because the alligator clips fit right in the grooves here, and they won't bump off. Very secure. And another method you can use is a Minn Kota plug, where rather than having alligator clips or the ring terminals that came with your motor, there's a male plug on here and a female plug gets mounted onto the battery box and hooked to the terminals on the battery. You plug it in, twist, and you're ready to go. I used to use that when I would put the battery between me or the seat and the raft. But because it got hot, that's why I stopped using it, and I didn't really need it anymore because I was putting this in the box in the middle of the raft. So I've been using this because it's convenient, but I would not recommend using this method if you are going to wedge the battery between the seat and the raft, just because this is going to have electricity going to it, and if water splashes up, you could short out the battery. A good way to cut costs, though, if you Google brass nuts and bolts, you can buy some brass nuts that would take the place of this and work just fine. But back to this battery box. So everything you see here was mounted just very easily. So this first step to do this is know what kind of wire you want to use. I use 10 gauge wire on the inside of this. And if you look at the Minn Kota table showing what wire gauge to use, if you're extending less than 5 feet, which this is less than 5 feet, you can use 10 gauge. But I use 8 gauge on my motor. But inside on this box, just to make it easier to work with, I use 10 gauge. And I'll get to that in a second. But to prep the lid, first thing you want to do is, let's say we're going to mount, we'll start with the battery post over here. This is what comes on the inside, goes on the inside of the lid and screws on the inside to hold this in place. So this is how big the circle needs to be. The switch and the USB charger have one of these too. So for each hole you need to make, use that as the template. So in this case, you want to find the center. Now you use this. Make sure it's centered. Now you know where to cut the hole. So all you have to do is get a drill a hole in there. And what I did is I got a jigsaw, traced the line, and cleaned it up with the Dremel. It's very easy. If you don't have a jigsaw or a Dremel, the circle doesn't have to be perfect. But you could get a chiseled out, and there's a lot of ways. You get a file, you file it out to get that done. It's not that hard. So once you have, in this case, all 4 holes made, what I did is I painted white after that, just because it'll keep it nice and cool. If this is out in the sun all day, if it's outside on the seat next to you, it'll get hot. So if you decide to paint it white, what I just get also sandpaper, scuff a little bit so the paint will stick. Again, the corners, the edges, flat spots, and just spray paint it white. I use Rust-Oleum, it sticks to plastic. It's good for outdoor use. So now the lid's ready to go. It's painted and holes are cut. So now you have to cut for the post here and the switch. You're going to need 3 wires. Just make all 3 of them 6 inches, maybe 5 inches to make it easy. And what you're going to do is one wire is going to go from the battery terminal itself up to the switch, from the switch to the post here. And obviously there's not going to be a switch on this side, so straight from the post to the battery terminal. So here's where it gets tricky if you don't have the right tools. First thing you want to do is strip the end of the wire, this 10 gauge wire. And you're going to need these ring terminals too. Very cheap. I'll see if I can find them on Amazon. And if you have the right tools, again, it can be very easy. With this case, all I have to do is push it down, and now it's good to go. Each end is going to need this, but the parts that go onto this and the battery terminal itself will need to be a little bit bigger just because these ring terminals will not fit around those, but they'll fit around the switch. So this is what the inside of the lid looks like. I'll try to get a closer shot, but we have the wire going from the terminal up to the switch, and the one they go to is in the off position. And then from the other side, that's going to go straight to the post here. Third wire is going to go from the negative post straight to the battery terminal. And that's all you need to do for that. But the USB charger itself should come with wire and a fuse. And all I have to do is the positive wire for the USB charger will go to the switch. This is in the opposition. Black wire goes to the negative. And that's it. It's very simple. If you don't have the right tools, you can use channel locks to get the ring terminals onto the end of the wire. I mean, it's going to be messy. If you have exposed wire, take some electrical tape and cover it up. But don't get discouraged from doing it. It's a great way to, like, a nice little piece to have for your to complete your Intex excursion. In addition, if you do have a battery like this, you can add other accessories like a cigarette lighter on the side over here, which I did on my other box. So when you go camping, you can have lights or any other sort of adapter, maybe a small inverter. And also, if you have a bigger inverter or a small one, you can use it if your power goes out. You can use your battery to run the modem, to run a computer monitor, something small. You can even just charge your cell phones off of the USB chargers on here. You have so much power just sitting around the house, you might as well use something as backup power also. So that's how I build the box. If you have any comments or questions, let me know in the comments section. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I want to see how everyone else builds their boat too. And please do subscribe and keep the videos coming. These are a lot of fun. You're missing out if you choose not to go ahead and buy one.